So as you know, we are still looking at the AC joint instability according to the Rockwood classification. And probably every one of you knows that there is one substantial drawback, that the Rockwood classification has only one, let's say, type that includes a posterior instability, which is the type 4. And the type 4 is actually very rare, because when Rockwood described this, he described it as a locked posterior displacement of the clavicle into the fascia of the trapezius. And this is very, very rare. We have much more to deal with dynamic posterior instability. So I show you some examples how this classification has some limitation. When we do vertical instability testing, we obviously do the stress test. We measure the CC distance compared to the opposite side, and then we grade according to Rockwood. If we do Alexander views, as you can see here, this is a stress through for posterior translation of the clavicle. And obviously on the left side, as you can see here, there's gross instability with the clavicle overriding the acromion. And on the right side, or the left side, you see here, from your perspective, it's a stable situation. So let's see some examples. This is a Rockwood type 1 injury. Patient is stable on the Alexander view. This is a Rockwood type 2 injury. You see here the CC distance is a little bit increased, and the patient is also stable on the Alexander view. This is also a Rockwood type 2 injury according to the CC difference, but this patient is grossly unstable on the Alexander view. So there is for sure a different pathology within this patient, within these two patients with a Rockwood type 2 injury. Now, when we look at Rockwood type 3 injury, that's a Rockwood type 3 injury. The patient is stable on the Alexander views. And this is another Rockwood type 3 injury. According to the CC distance, this patient is grossly unstable on the Alexander views. So also within the Rockwood type 3 patients, there might be some difference that we need to diagnose and maybe address. It's interesting when you have a Rockwood type 5 injury. As you can see here, these patients are always unstable on the Alexander views. So there is actually no need to do Alexander views if you have a Rockwood type 5 injury on the AP stress views. So we looked at the specific cohort of patients because we were quite unhappy with the Rockwood classification. And what we did, we looked at 52 consecutive acute AC joint separation. We had 4 Rockwood type 1, 5 Rockwood type 2, 21 Rockwood type 3, and 21 Rockwood type 5. These were all acute injuries, average age around 34 years. And now when you look at the distribution of posterior instability, you actually can see that almost two-thirds of the Rockwood type 2 and almost two-thirds of the Rockwood type 3 have either partial or complete posterior translation of the clavicle. And as you can also see with the Rockwood type 5, 100% of the patients are posterior unstable. So we believe there's a need for a new classification system that incorporates these findings. And Natasha Kraus came up with this kind of classification where we divide now in type 1 and type 2 with the vertical displacement being less or more than 30%. And we divide these patients again into non-partial or complete horizontal dynamic translation. We are currently evaluating this classification scheme prospectively, and I hope I can tell you more in the future. What have we also learned? We have also learned when we operate on patients with AC joint instability, patients do have concomitant glenohumeral pathologies. We looked at 125 patients, average age 38.5 years. 6 had a Rockwood type 3, 119 had a Rockwood type 5. Again, all acute instabilities, meaning operated less than 3 weeks after the injury. And we found overall 30.4% of concomitant glenohumeral pathologies. And we divided these pathologies into acute lesions, as you can see here, either upper subscap tears, subtotal supraspinatus tears, or posterior instability with reverse Hill-Sachs lesions. We had an overall prevalence of 7.2% of acute lesions in this cohort. We also had true degenerative lesions, 14.4%, as you can see here on the left side, and 8.8%, where we didn't really know if this is acute or chronic. As you can see here, probably it looks more a little bit degenerative than acute, but we don't know. So we call this intermediate lesions, 8.8%. So this is just to describe, because we don't really know if we have to treat these patients. But if you do it arthroscopically, of course, there is you are tempted to treat these injuries, even if the patient has no symptoms preoperatively. So what about stabilization methods? We started in 2006 operating these patients with a tightrope system. Actually, in December 2006, as you can see here, until December 2008, we used an arthroscopic assisted double tightrope reconstruction. So we just did a stabilization of the CC plane and not of the AC joint. And the results were quite good. Clinical results were quite good. However, radiographic results were a little bit disappointing. We had around 50% persistent posterior translation of the clavicle using just a synthetic CC stabilization in acute AC joint instability. So we did some biomechanical studies to see if we can increase the strength of the fixation with an additional AC cerclage using a fiber tape. And we did this together with colleagues from Bern. And we could see that the fixation or the primary stability is higher if you use an additional AC joint cerclage. So in January 2009, and actually until March 2016, we used a double tightrope technique plus an arthroscopic AC cerclage. And as you know, if you do a technique more than, in this case, 7 years, or almost 7 years, the technique works pretty well. And so we were happy with this technique. When we looked at the patient and we compared these patients to the first generation, where we just did a CC stabilization, and now we did a CC stabilization plus an AC stabilization, we could significantly decrease the amount of posterior translation, and particularly complete posterior translation on Alexander views. And these patients also had better clinical outcomes. So for us, it seems important to do an additional AC cerclage. What about complications? We know that these fixation techniques, even if you do them arthroscopically, they have, I would say, 3 to 4 major potential problems. Loss of reduction, even if you do a perfect job, 25%, around 25%, 27%, they migrate up a little bit superiorly or posteriorly. Implant irritation, you know, with the strong fiber wires on top of your plates. So in a substantial cohort, you might have to reduce these implants due to pain over the superior aspect of the clavicle. And this should not be the case, since these implants are designed to be implanted for a, let's say, single operation, compared, for example, hook plate. Calcification, I don't think that's a true complication, but of course, fractures of the clavicle or the coracoid, if you have 2 drill holes, that can be a problem. So the goal in the future needs to be to reduce these potential complications and obviously keep the good results that we achieved with the current fixation techniques. So in 2019, we changed our technique in order to avoid these complications. We are now using a low profile, a tightrope repair, plus an additional AC cerclage. The reason why we use these low profile is because a single tightrope device using this kind of tightrope has almost the same primary fixation strength. It's just a single drill hole through the clavicle and the coracoid. And we have an additional AC cerclage that might be enough to gain stability of these patients. And obviously, this tightrope is designed not to have knots on top of the clavicle. So if you tie your knots, the knots are buried inside the top head button, and you can just cut your sutures, and there is no knot stake, no potential risk of soft tissue irritation on top of the clavicle. Here you see the primary fixation strength with 1,080 newtons compared to the old tightrope with 763 newtons and Dog bone with 2 tapes is a little bit better, 1,300 newtons, but that's questionable if you really need these additional 250 newtons. So I briefly show you the surgical technique in a short video. We look from lateral via transtendinous portal. We go in with a aiming device, as you can see here. We place the superior drill bit on top of the clavicle, and then we use a 3.0 drill that has a little K-wire inside in order to facilitate drilling through the coracoid and the clavicle. We exit inferiorly, inferior to the base, and then for the top head button, you need to over drill the superior portion, and you do a unicortical drilling of the superior cortex of the clavicle, and then you insert a nitinol wire and retrieve the nitinol wire via the anterior-inferior portal. So that's the drill hole for the low profile, and then we do a very simple percutaneous AC cerclage. So we switch our drill, our guiding device over the clavicle, and we come via the anterior-inferior portal percutaneously. We place a 1.25 millimeter K-wire, and this K-wire is over drilled with a 2.7 millimeter drill. We insert a nitinol wire, so now we have the AP drill for the AC cerclage in the clavicle, and we do the same now via the acromion. Place a 1.25 millimeter K-wire, we over drill it with a 2.7 millimeter drill, and then we insert another nitinol wire. So now all these drill holes are made, and now we come with a low profile. We insert the low profile through the coracoid and the clavicle, as you can see here. Now we attach the inferior so-called top dog bone, and then we pull superiorly. We place the dog bone underneath the coracoid, and then we remove this pulling suture, and while pulling on the superior fiber wire, the top head button migrates or moves into the clavicle, into the superior aspect of the clavicle. Then we use, in fact, a tensioner that is not shown here in the video to over-reduce a little bit the clavicle, 2 to 3 millimeters, as you can see here. And then we do the knot tying. 3 knots you can easily place into the top head button, and then you just cut the sutures. So the CC stabilization is done. Now we place a fiber wire to the first nitinol wire. We pull the fiber wire through the clavicle, and then we pull the fiber tape over the AC joint exiting lateral. So now we have the tape through the clavicle and the acromion, and we use a knot pusher to push the free ends back subcutaneously to avoid any soft tissue entanglement. And now we do a tying of the fiber tape. So it's a very minimal invasive technique, and obviously it's something that you might call internal bracing, because we don't reconstruct obviously any ligaments, but that's the technique we are currently doing. One last study I would like to show you. As you know, we don't really have predictive factors for outcome for AC joint instability or reconstruction. We know, for example, in cuff repairs, if you have high-grade fatty infiltration, the results are inferior. If you have proximal migration of the humeral head, the results are inferior. But there are no good studies out with regards to the outcome after AC joint stabilization. So we looked at 104 patients. All had a Rockwood type 5, all were acute, average age was 38 years, and all were operated less than 3 weeks after the injury. We had 49 just CC and 55 CC and AC stabilization. We did some statistics, and these are the results. We found out that the older the patient is, the longer you wait from injury to surgery, the less you over-reduce, meaning if you just do an anatomical reduction or an under-reduction, and if you just do a CC stabilization, the results, the radiographic results are inferior. So speaking the other way around, you should operate on younger patients very early after the injury. You should over-reduce, and you should always use an AC and a CC stabilization. This hopefully improves your result. Just a final word on the chronic ones or subacute ones. We use an additional graft, allograft in this case, that we wrap around the coracoid and the clavicle. that we also bring over the AC joint lateral to the acromion and we pass it back subcutaneously. This technique is available, open access on Google, so you can have a look at it and watch the technique. So to summarize, over the last, let's say, 15, 16, 17 years, we realized that it's a safe technique if you do it arthroscopically assisted, image intensifier controlled. Good to excellent results can be achieved. There is a minor problem of partial and or horizontal instability. We call this a biological failure if your implants are still in place after 3 months. We are convinced that additional AC reconstruction is beneficial. The role of the new implants, low-profile tight ropes, still needs to be determined in prospective trials. However, the prognostic factors should be considered for the future. Thank you very much for your